Hello and most welcome to 960 of the Heidegger series. And today I will talk about what will happen when we get more fractal. Once more, it's a take from the book by Susie Froebel, Fractal Time. In an aspect, there won't be that much difference. You will feel that everything works smoother, that you become more aware of things. You can project, which means that you have a taste of successfulness already at the onset of thinking. You already know this thinking is going to be successful and it's going to end in something that actually works. This specific feeling is of course that feeling when you were young, but you are also going to have all those things of adulthood. So don't get fixated in the young model. It is not only about that, it is getting the adulthood to be lively, and you will be able to access all your past. No longer will they have this quaint feeling or sense of being distant when it comes to the memories. As I mentioned in an early lecture, you will no longer feel that both things are bad. Memory is gone, and that were good, and they are bad because they're gone, and the bad memories that lingers on and you can't get rid of them. In the aspect of fractality, both will be positive now. Both will show greater stamina in the chaotic system that is you, and that system is going to be more permanent. And although the flavor of reality is exactly the same, you are the same, you look the same, everything has more to it. You are more there, you're more directed, you're more in your body. I can mention it's like tastes and smells are becoming stronger. And also that feeling of being able to snap out of a mood you don't want to be in. And I think one gainage there is when you become fractal, you can observe your own moods. That part doesn't have to be part of the mood. Whereas in the lower system, you were your anger, you were your joy. You couldn't look at it and see, I am Hans, Per, Eva, Niklas, whomever, who has this feeling. That will make it easier for you to let negative emotion pass, and you can invite positive ones. There is a great difference. Negative emotions, negative material are simplified. It's almost always more of this superficial polarized nature, good and bad. When you are in a bad mood, everything is good and bad. Everything is black and white. That is the very epiphany of being in a bad mood. I came up with this analogy. I will not say it's entirely mine. I think it came from Douglas Hofstadter and his wondrous book Gödel, Escher, Bach. But what he shows in that book is that Gödel wanted his system to be self-consistent and self-coherent, and that makes it impossible for reflection, because reflection becomes a part in the process. Via fractality, that all of a sudden becomes a possibility. Looking at yourself and not being a part of it. This sounds superficially as the origo, but it isn't. This is fractality. This is what we wanted, but we sort of managed something that is an impossibility. We made it up because we couldn't have it, therefore we made it up. I think that is the true sense. And with the book Susie Frobel, I start to understanding the underpinning wants why we construct metaphysics of presence. We want to have a reflective eye, but we can't have it because we're not fractal enough. Therefore, we make up this origo, or we make up the panopticon, or as Laplace did his demon. It becomes a proxy for the loss we feel, and we want to ruta in världen, put it in a pattern so we can control it. This idea of control is mistaken level belief. We can have control, but that is only possible in fractality. And fractality is not as such a new system or a complete difference. There is definitely something more to this. So metaphysics of present cannot have reflectiveness, and therefore it makes it up. That might be the want of Newton. Lockedness in the lower system makes for control behavior, almost looking like somebody from a Freudian perspective being anal retentive or something like that, needing to control everything, every aspect of reality. That simply cannot be had. That is not a part of what is possible. Not from the low perspective, but in fractality we can have just that. We can be our emotions, and we can have another extended LOD. And this is why LODs are so important. The extension of the LODs make simultaneous live out, simultaneous thinking lines going completely parallel without any problem at all. So this makes for a world of greater possibilities. Not only greater control, but also an openness to spontaneity. Not everything needs to be spontaneous in the fractal world, but if you want it, you can have it. And I already feel this more joyous life, like happiness is coming to me, and I feel more at ease. Здравствуйте. Feel more relaxed, taking in more, being here, living, feeling, breathing, and I also feel my body to take more place in the world, extending. That goes for a relaxing feeling that is just great, just beyond belief. And also my memory training benefits from this fractality. It makes it deeper, and I more and more understand from a first-hand perspective of this fractal depth and fractal width means. Actually, you feel the extension of time, and it's almost slows down. The clock doesn't slow down, but you can fit in more in the same space. So you see here the similarities between this fractality in time and the fractality in space, where this part comes in. This greater presence make it possible to be in your body, but also extend outwards to the world. Slowly also, only to a small level. This is the tougher thing for me, that's projection. I sort of get that feeling slowly. Not to a great extent so far, but it's coming there, little by little. Becoming more obvious, more possible. I feel a heightened matching with other people, understanding better what they're saying. I realize now that there is no final understanding. It's a deepening and deepening. And I also start to feel this finality I had before, the finality idea, had some negative tendencies of premature closure of something, and sort of banging your head into a wall. Here is the end. Here's the end of the thought. Here's the end of that projection. And that is also opening up. That end, that stop is not as definite anymore. It is not as final. It's not as decisive. So now it makes much more sense with this idea of opening up. It is no longer out there strictly, it's within me, present. Let me quote a little bit from Fractal Time. I go through this book to make it more understandable, and I will tomorrow have great time. Saturday I'm free to really delve into the book as deep as possible. This is the second paragraph on page 148. An interesting quirk was given to the issue of mood and speed by Aaron Sackett et al., who establish a correlation between the extent to which we enjoy a task and distortions in subjective duration. Apparently, there is a direct link between our temporal modality, that is to say, our feeling of how slowly or quickly time passes, and the degree to which we enjoy a task. It seems to be common knowledge that time passes more quickly when we enjoy ourselves and more slowly when we are suffering. But although there has always been plenty of anecdotal evidence, it is only recently that we know this correlation works both ways. Not only does time fly when we enjoy ourselves, but we also judge a task as having been more enjoyable if we believe that we underestimate its duration. Vice versa, if we think that we have overestimated the time period, we tend to judge the task as having been less enjoyable. In Sackett et al.'s experiment, people were induced to believe that time passed more quickly than they had expected. The perceived time distortion led them to judge tasks and songs as more enjoyable and noises to be less annoying, possibly because they were looking for an explanation for the temporal distortion and came up with a convincing answer. The feeling that time has been distorted may lead people to question why. We propose that to make sense of such a distortion, people infer that subjective time perception carries information about the hedonic value of the experience at hand. Specifically, people may rely upon an A theory that enjoyment accelerates the passage of time, with suffering decelerates it. We hypothesize that if people think time has passed unusually quickly or slowly, they will evaluate the experience or activity that fill that time more positively or negatively. And this is something I want to mention. When this deepening of time came about, it was also more possible to be more precise. Whereas in the speeding up of time, which is seen from the perspective of an extended time, when I'm in fractality, it seems that my decisions cannot be that informed. They become more automatic when there is little time. And that also yields for having been able to fit my times much better, to be in time and do time. And I start realizing that this will extend to projection, the tougher part for my deal. And it's easy to understand if projection really works and your wants do end in fulfillment. Next time you think about something, you'll know it will end in success. It will happen. And that will sort of become a James Clearian confirmation by a habit. And that in itself becomes stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. You just need to do it several times. So the understanding that comes into the body after a while sets in. This is why I said in the beginning, everything is back to normal, but everything's just working better. It feels broader, more encompassing, healthier. It is like drinking a miraculous potion or having it's like having a vitamin D deficiency. You take it and you get filled up with this. This is fractality. Everything enhances. You can compare fractality to these mind-enhancing drugs that you can see in some movies. I don't remember the name of the character, the role player was an actor. He takes a certain pill and he becomes much smarter. This is what fractality does. Your brain works better. And this goes, of course, hand in hand. What I learned about people who burned out, their brains don't work to the same level anymore. And they can't feel it. And neither can you feel when there is an embetterment. It doesn't feel distinctly different. But after a while you notice everything works much better. So it's an indirect perception. And I would say that is especially the case in the beginning. Before you really feel fractality in every bone, every joint, every tissue in your body. When it goes deeper, it works better. More encompassing, more informative. No longer do I forget to the same extent a timeline I started to begin with and changed its direction. Reflectively, I also noticed that is still happening, but I didn't notice that before. So this reflection becomes possible. And it's absolutely great. It's fantastic in many ways. Being able to see when it's down makes also for intention and motivation. Being able to go inwards and change things is just fantastic. Do that. It is the most fantastic thing you can do. Climbing up the Kilimanjaro doesn't beat that, because it gives you access to an inner world that can be enlarged and enhances perception, reality, and your working thing. This is absolutely a very good additive to the Alexander technique. And I think this could give what it is missing. Things that, of course, Frederick Matthias Alexander already had. And just because you don't notice, you're just working much better. How could he tell what he had? How could he tell that there was a difference? For that, we needed Susie Frobel. And I say, Susie, you're the best, and thank you very much. I wish you a very pleasant afternoon, and do take care out there. Bye bye.